Shri Guru Nitai Gaur, Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktivedanta, Swamini Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhaktivedanta, Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Prachadane, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschachadishatadane. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Prachadane, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschachadishatadane. Vansha Kalpacharubhyascha Bolo. Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha, Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki, Shri Prem Data Nityananda Prabhu ki, Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Bolo Giriraj Maharaj ki, Shri Radhakund Shamakund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki, Shri Purushottam Ketur Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi Tosi Maharani ki, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Go, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gauragraganya Gana Gotra Guloruharam Gauranga Gudatama Gopyara Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dileka Kola Kahe Premananda Himona Goranga Ridoya Dadiya Bola Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Gorangira Namare Jai Jana Goranga Bhaje Se Hoy Amara Pranare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema Bidana Parama Pumarta Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kripaya Jadi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathabda Brajabala Bapahimam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is our third and last session in this discussion about from Avishta to Avesha, or how devotees become empowered. And we've been speaking something about the importance of empowering devotees, encouraging that. And from the beginning we spoke something about how that empowerment takes place. Yesterday we spoke something about mercy and how Krishna Kripa Srimurti, both the channel to give mercy as well as mercy incarnate is the devotee himself. But how is it that the devotees are that channel of mercy, as we described from the beginning? Rupa Namashrita Avishta, Sanatana Goswami says, because they're chanting the holy name, because they're worshiping the deity. And these aspects of bhakti enter into the devotee, and the devotees become very, very powerful. Today I'd mostly like to, we have a lot of philosophy I may want to do, but I have a number of stories I'd like to share with you. And we'd like to speak something we mentioned, I think, on the first day. Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jani Jani E Veda Purani Guna Gaya Jiva Suni. That it said that one devotee, every devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has the ability to deliver an entire universe. There's a statement in the song Vaishnav Saran by Devaki Nandan Das. We can sing this. It's on the top right. Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jane Jane E Veda Purani Guna Gaya Jiva Suni Bolo. Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jane Jane E Veda Purani Guna Gaya Jiva Suni. By the way, this is a very wonderful song. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with this song, I would highly recommend it for everyone. The song is considered to be both an antidote and a preventative for Vaishnava Aparad. And it's sung, it's in many, many Bengali songbooks. It's sung in many different Gaudiya mats and also different other branches of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Vaishnavas do it as a daily practice. And there's a long story behind the song, which we printed in the 5th issue of our Krishna Katamrita magazine about Vaishnava Aparad. It was written by a devotee named Devaki Nandan Das, and he had committed, it said that he was Gopal Chappal previously, who committed the offense to Srivas Thakur. And it's a long story, but to get to the skinny, he was advised by his guru that he should write some glorification of the Vaishnavas as an antidote for his aparad. And so part of that is this song, Vaishnav Saran, which is a very beautiful song. But it would take us a long time to go through all of it. I don't want to do that today. But I wanted to speak and give some examples. How is it we say, he's saying, Brahmanda Tarite Sakti Dare Jani Jani, that every devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has the ability to deliver not just one city or one city block or one country or one planet even, but an entire universe. And as we asked on the first day how many devotees felt that they had that kind of potency, devotees don't feel that. But he says, E Veda Purani Guna Gaya Jeva Suni, that all the Vedas and Puranas, Guna Gaya Jeva Suni, they're singing Gaya Suni, they're speaking about this fact that all the Vaishnavas have this ability. So we'd like to speak something about that, how it is that they have that ability, and some different examples. We've been reading a nice book recently called Bhakti-mala, which is written, there's several different Bhakti-malas. There's one which is composed by one devotee named Nabadas in a place called Golta, near to Jaipur, which actually we visited that place where he composed this book. He lived a few hundred years ago, and he wrote this book on the order of his guru. And this book is quoted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his autobiography. It's quoted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta in some of his lectures. And I recently found even in one Sajjana Toshini magazine, they had a test called Acharya Prabandha, as I recall. And they had a reading list, a minimum reading list for that test, which was the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. And then there was a secondary list of suggested books. And Nabadas's Bhakti-mala was one of those books. So Nabadas, he speaks about the different avatars of the Lord. And he also speaks about different great Vaishnavas, such as, I'll speak today something about Ambarish Maharaj. And he also speaks about many other Vaishnavas we've not heard so much about. I may tell a couple stories from this book, actually. We know, as Mother Narayani was speaking this morning, something about Ambarish Maharaj and how Durvasa Muni made a big mistake. He committed some offense. And later on, with the Akshaya Patra incident that she was telling so nicely this morning, and how Duryodhana requested Durvasa Muni to go and beg food from the Pandavas after Draupadi had finished eating, because Draupadi had this Akshaya Patra, this unlimited pot that she could feed the whole universe, as long as she hadn't taken her meal. So as we heard this morning, Krishna came and took a little leaf off the side of the pot, and everyone became santosh, they became completely satisfied. And then Bhima Singh was sent to call them, hey, you guys come on, it's getting late, why are you taking so long, come have something to eat. And Durvasa Muni became afraid, because he was remembering, these Vaishnavas are very, very dangerous. He was remembering the incident with Ambarish Maharaj. So after that pastime happened, it was a very famous incident. The whole universe practically was watching it, because Durvasa Muni was running throughout the entire universe trying to escape that Sudarshan Chakra. So one person who had noticed this pastime and was appreciating the glories of Durvasa Muni was one young and very beautiful princess. And she fixed her heart on Ambarish Maharaj, and she decided that, Father, this is the person I want to marry, because he's a good devotee. And I want to marry someone who's an exalted Vaishnava. So her father, the king, sent a letter with a Brahmin, who gave it to Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj, he read the letter, and he said, respectfully, I understand the desire of this princess. He said, but you should know, I already have 100 wives. How can I accept her? And moreover, I'm a Vaishnava, I'm busy, I'm doing so many services, I'm chanting, I'm doing services for the Lord. So I'm busy with that throughout the day and night. How can I accept her? You please express that to her. So the Brahmin went back and told the princess. But the princess, she sent a message back. First of all, she told her father, she said, the first thing she said was that, which I found very interesting, she said that, I'm very glad, it's good that he refused my invitation, my desire. Because from that, I can understand he's a real man. Because all these wimpy men, they just run after lusty women. I'm making some proposal to him, but he's such a strong man. He's a strong devotee. He's not interested in my proposal. He's a very renounced and devoted person. So he has no attraction for enjoying life with women. Because she says, but actually it's not that I'm attracted by his physical features or his intellect or something. I'm attracted by his devotion to the Lord. And you tell him that I've already accepted him as my husband, and I'll never see the face of another man the rest of my life. And if he won't accept me as his wife, that's his choice, but then he's going to get the reaction of killing a woman, because I'll die. So She was very fixed in her desire. And very nice story, because this is a very nice story of how marriage should be amongst Vaishnavas. It should be focused upon Krishna. So that Brahman returned to Maharaj Ambarish and told her what the princess had said. And when he heard about her level of devotion and how she was interested in him, not just because he was a king and he was so wealthy and so handsome or famous, but she appreciated him because of his devotion to Krishna, Ambarish Maharaj's heart was touched. And he decided to accept it, and he sent a ring back with the Brahmin. You give this to her. And he married the princess, and she came. And it wasn't that they were both very happy to see each other and see each other's devotional attitude, but it wasn't that Maharaj Ambarish just said, well, look, I'm a devotee. You knew I was a devotee before, so you're just going to have to tough it. But he understood she's a daughter of a king, she's a princess, so I should take good care of her. So he had a beautiful palace made for her, and he had arranged for many different maidservants and persons to take care of her. And he thought to himself that somehow, because of some devotional activities I've done for the Lord in my previous life, I've gotten such a good wife. So Ambarish Maharaj, every day he was worshipping the deity of Krishna. And the queen, she was watching that, his new queen, his new wife, and she wanted to help do some service. So one morning before the king did his puja, she went in and she swept and cleansed the whole temple room, and then she left. No one knew that she'd done that. And the king went there to do his puja, and he was surprised to see that everything was so clean and nice. And the king was thinking, who's the thief who came here and is stealing away my services to the Lord? And this went on for several days, until finally the king, he hid one day early to see what was going on, and he saw there was his newly wedded queen. And Ambarish Maharaj, he told her, he said, you have so much devotion for Krishna, so you should have your own deity. And you should worship Krishna. You should make a temple in your palace and invite the Lord to come, and you can serve him for 24 hours a day. So following the order of her husband, that queen, she installed the deity of Krishna with the Brahmins, and she began serving Krishna every day, so nicely bathing the deity and decorating him and dressing him and doing bhajans before him. And people started talking about it, that this queen, she's worshiping the deity with so much devotion, so very, very nice. And word began to spread throughout the city. And Maharaj Ambarish heard about it. He decided, I want to see this for myself. So he went one morning while the queen was doing her puja, and when he started to come in, there was a guard there at the door who was going to announce him. He said, no, be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't let her know that I'm here. And so he arrived there unannounced, and he was waiting behind the closed door and listening while the queen was inside. She was singing very devotional bhajans to Krishna, and she was crying in ecstasy. And so after a little while, Ambarish Maharaj couldn't control himself anymore, and he went inside to see what happened, and he saw that she was crying in ecstasy and singing before the Lord. And Ambarish Maharaj was completely astonished. And he thought, she has so much more devotion than I do. Interesting, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, in one article in Sajjana Toshan, he said there's a reason why the guru generally doesn't want his disciples to get married. And he says because Vaishnava marriage is not the same as Vedic marriage. In Vaishnava marriage, it's not that the wife is serving the husband, or the husband is serving the wife, is popular today sometimes. But rather, how can a Vaishnava accept the service of another Vaishnava? But rather, they're serving each other for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. But seeing that most of the disciples are not qualified to have a relationship like that, they want something for themselves, they have some selfish material desires, Guru discourages them from getting married. So, and he says that both the husband and wife, when they're looking for a partner, they should look for someone who has more devotion than themselves. Just like in the story, Ambarish Maharaj is seeing her and he's thinking, she has more devotion than I do. And when she saw that the king had come in, her husband, she wanted to offer obeisances to him. He said, no. He said, I'm very, very delighted to see how absorbed you are in your bhajan and your worship of the Lord. You should please continue singing. And so she did that. And the king saw that when she began singing for Krishna, tears were coming and her whole body was shaking and the hairs were standing on end in her body. She's a very, very elevated devotee. And so Ambarish Maharaj was very impressed. And the word spread very quickly. Maharaj Ambarish had 100 other wives, as we mentioned. And all those other wives, they heard about the devotion of this new wife. Now in the material world, they would become very envious. And as we hear in the case of Maharaj Chitraketu, they wanted to kill the baby that his new wife had given birth to. But in this case, the co-wives of that new wife, they became very, very much inspired. And they decided also, we want to start worshiping. So they also got deities themselves, and they started worshiping Krishna. They started doing so much bhajan. And then they became very dear to their husband. And Ambarish Maharaj is going and visiting each one of them and giving different blessings to his queens. And moreover, what happened after that, when the people in the city heard that the queens, and the queen's a big thing, all the people in the kingdom, that they appreciate the queen so much, when they heard that the queens were all worshiping Krishna and doing bhajan and they're getting the favor of the king in this way, everybody else also started worshiping the deity and started doing bhajans and things. In this way, Maharaj Ambarish's kingdom, everyone became Krishna conscious because of this one wife and her devotional attitude. This story reminded me of something else that I'd heard about one brahmachari, one young man who joined Prabhupada's movement in, I think it was probably about 76 or 77, fairly late before Prabhupada left this world in India. And he stayed in the temple for some time. He was from Bihar. And after some days or a few weeks or something, he had to go home to see his family. And so he went back to a small village in Bihar. And this particular devotee, he was very shy. He had a hard time preaching. He didn't say anything to anybody in the village, but he learned some things from Srila Prabhupada and from ISKCON. And so every morning he was getting up by 4 o'clock, and he was doing Mangal Artik every day, and he was chanting japa and things. And his family were very pious. His mother noticed what he was doing, so she also started getting up for Mangal Artik. And then he had a couple brothers, and they started getting up for Mangal Artik. And very soon, by the time he left, like a week later, the whole village was having Mangal Artik every day. And that brahmachari, he later took sannyas. His name is Radha Govinda Maharaj. So we can see that a devotee who's practicing devotional service, who's chanting the holy name, who's doing it becomes so very, very powerful by their example. Because, as we were saying, Rupa Namashrita Avishta, the holy name, Krishna's form, they enter into that devotee who begins chanting like that. And this is described in a number of different places. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a description given of how the demigods were offering prayers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was in the womb of Sachi Mata. And the demigods, they prayed, Tomara agyaya eka eka seva ke toma ananta brahmanda pare kori te uda. Golo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Tomara agyaya. They were praying to the Lord. Tomar means your. Agyaya means your order. Tomar agyaya eka eka. Every one of. Eka means one. Eka eka sevakai. Tomar. Every one of your servants. Every one of your devotees. What can they do? Ananta brahmanda pare. Korite udara. Udara means to deliver. And not just one universe said here, but Ananta Brahmanda. Unlimited universes. They can deliver. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his commentary, he quotes this verse, Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jani Jani, that each and every one of the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can deliver an entire universe. So, Devaki Nandan Dasi says, Aveda Purani Guna Gaya Jebasuni. This is described in all the Vedas and the Puranas. Really? Well, let's explore that a little bit. It's a big subject, but I've collected some different evidences about this over the years. The Bhagavatam, 14th chapter of the 11th canto, text 24 states, Vaggadgada dravache yasya chittam rudatya bhikshnam hasati kvachicha vilaja ugayati nityate cha madbhakti yukto bhuvanam punati. A devotee whose speech is sometimes choked up, whose heart melts, who cries continually and sometimes laughs, who feels ashamed and cries out loudly and then dances. Mad bhakti yukto, someone who's thus vexed in bhakti, bhuvanam punati. That personality purifies the entire universe. Similarly, the 48th chapter, the 10th canto, text 31, Krishna, he's glorifying Akrura. And Krishna tells Akrura, Nahamam mayani titani nadeva michchila maya te ponantyudu kalena darshanat eva sadava. He said that you can't deny, no one can deny, that all the different sacred places and the sacred rivers, or the demigods who appear in different deity forms made out of earth and stone, that these can purify someone. He said, but they can purify only after a long time, whereas darshanat eva sadava, just immediately upon seeing a devotee, one becomes purified. Jiva Goswami in Laghu Vaishnav Toshini, his commentary in this verse, he says that all these different sacred places and sacred rivers, they can purify, but it takes a long time. Whereas saintly persons can purify just upon seeing them. He says, and how long does it take? He says the first moment, not even a second moment. It doesn't even take 2 seconds. Just being in the presence of such a devotee, in one moment, one can become purified immediately. In Sa'artha Darshani, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse, he says that when Akrura hears Krishna glorifying the sacred rivers and things and saying they can purify, but the devotee is better, and Akrura says, well, aren't the holy waters, the sacred rivers, aren't they worthy of worship? And Krishna shakes his head. He said, no. He said, although certainly the sacred rivers and the demigods can purify someone, that's very, very different from the purification that someone can get from a devotee. The holy rivers, they can get purification just by prolonged service. But just by seeing a devotee, immediately one becomes purified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was glorifying Haridas Thakur in Srivas Thakur's house during the Mahaprakash Leela, he began to glorify all the different devotees. And at one point he began to glorify Haridas Thakur. Mahaprabhu said, Sparshara ki daya, Sparshara ki daya dekele Haridasa, Chinde Sava Jivera Anari Karma Pasa, Hare Krishna. Sparshara Kidai, what to speak of his touch. What to speak of if Haridas Thakur touches someone. Just if someone sees Haridas Thakur, they can become freed from the sinful reactions for millions and millions of births. And this is famously described also by Narottam Das Thakur. Gangara parasa hoye paschate pavan. Gangara parasa hoye paschate pavan. Darshane pavitra koro e tomaragun. He said that someone can become purified by taking bath in the Ganga. But you may have to take many, many baths in the Ganga. But with a devotee, darshane pavitra koro e tomaragun. This is the qualities, the glorification, tomaragun, the wonderful qualities of a devotee. Darshane pavitra koro. Just by seeing a devotee, someone becomes purified. The Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 19, text 33 and 34 describes, Yesham samsmaranat pumsam sadya sudyanti vaigriha kim punay darshana sparsha padasochav sanadibi sanidyate mahayogin patakani mahanchapi sadyo nashyanti vaipumsam vishnu eva suretara. If someone just remembers a devotee, what to speak, you don't even see them, but you remember a devotee. He said, just by remembering a devotee, your home becomes sanctified. And what to speak of seeing or touching, washing the lotus feet, or offering a seat to the devotee in the home. Just as the atheist can't remain in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Someone may say they're an atheist, but in front of Krishna, how can they say they're an atheist if Krishna appears before them? So also in the same way, all the unlimited sins of a person are immediately vanquished in the presence of a saint. Now how is this? Again, the Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, text 14 says a very famous verse, Apana samsriti goram yan nama vivisogrina tatasad yovimuche tatad yad vibheti swayam bayam. That living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified.
What is the number of the earlier one?
The previous one?
Yes.
119, 33 to 34. The holy name can do so much, but there's a very interesting, in our most recent email magazine, which we just sent off this morning, our Krishna Katamrita Bindu magazine, we, was it this issue or last issue? This issue or the one before, I forget. The issue before. We printed an excerpt from Jagadananda Pandit's Prema Vivarta, from the 7th chapter, where he says some things which are seem very, very confusing about the holy name. He says, Asadu Sangate Bhai. He says, oh my dear brother. You'll note something in Vedic literatures when the saints or in the Bhagavatam says, my dear brother, oftentimes it means they're going to say something really strong. Because you put your arm, when you have something really heavy to say to somebody, then you go and you put your arm around them and you say, you're so nice, you're such a wonderful devotee, I just like you so much, please don't mind what I'm about to tell you. So Jagadananda Pandit does like that. Asadu sangete by nama nahi hoy, namakshara bahirai beti nam kabunoi below. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He says, my dear brother, if you're trying to chant the holy name and you're doing an asadu sangha in association with non-devotees, nam nahi hoy, the holy name won't appear in that association. And he says, namakshara, bahirai beti nam kabunoi. Prabhupada also quoted this on at least one occasion. He said, it's not that the mere syllables are the holy name. Now that's interesting because at other times, sometimes the Vedic literatures also glorify even the syllables of the holy name. But here, Jagadananda Pandit is saying that in association with non-devotees, the holy name's not there. And namakshara bahirai betu nam kabunoi. That it's the mere syllables are not the holy name. So then what is the holy name? Jagadananda Pandit, he describes Jadi koribe Krishna nama sadhu sanga koro. Bhukti mukti siddhi vansha jure parihar. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jadi means if. Jadi koribe Krishna nama. If you want to chant Krishna's name, then sadhu sanga koro. You should do association with saintly persons. He says that, and you should reject, very interesting, he says, Bhukti mukti siddhi vansha jure parihar. Parihar means to give up. You give up this sense enjoyment, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. It's interesting because Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Sajjani Toshani, he says that if someone doesn't have initiation, what's the difference between their chanting with initiation and without initiation? Very interesting discussion, because we chant Hare Krishna before initiation, right? In our movement, we've never heard of anyone getting a Vedic mantra. They were chanting the mantra before initiation, but we have that in our society. Why is that? Rupa Goswami in Lagu Vaishnav Toshan, he says that Sri Chaitanya Mako Gira Hare Krishna iti Varnaka Majiganti Jagat Premni Vijayanti Tadavaya. He says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already gave the Mahamantra to everyone, so everyone can chant it. Okay, but then what does it mean, that ceremony we have of first initiation? It's not just some meaningless ritual. We can't accept that. So this is the first question I asked my Guru Maharaj when I met him. What is the difference between chanting with initiation and chanting without initiation? And his answer was very, very nice. He quoted Sajjana Toshani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who states that if you chant the holy name, even without initiation, it's so powerful, you can get dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But there's one thing you can't get, and that's Krishna Prem. Only after someone is accepted by a devotee, as we were speaking yesterday. And therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami, in the beginning of his Mukta Charit, he says that Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Sachiputra Matra Sarupam. He says that my Gurudev gave me the topmost name. What do you mean the topmost name? We know from Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is Advaya Tattva. He's one. Why is he saying topmost? It means that Krishna's God 5 days a week and he takes 2 days off, and the other days he's not actually God. The holy name is not actually Krishna. That doesn't make sense. Jiva Goswami speaks about this also in the first chapter of the 6th canto in his commentary, and he says there that there's 2 types of chanting. There's Kevalanam, common chanting, and there's Sneha Samyuktanam, or chanting done with affection. And when we chant, receiving that mantra from a devotee, something happens. It's not an ordinary thing. That chanting is Sneha Samyuktanam. That's what we're getting from Gurudev. Not just the name, we already had that name, but we're getting a conception with that name. And therefore, in our first initiation ceremony, Srila Prabhupada gave us he didn't just give the name, he didn't just ask for a vow to follow 4 principles and chant 16 rounds, but Srila Prabhupada also traditionally gave a lecture about 10 offenses to the holy name. Prior to this, you're chanting 16 rounds. Now I'm going to accept you, and I'm going to give you a conception of the holy name. And Prabhupada taught us that Krishna is the son of Mother Yashoda. And that Ram, our acharyas have taught, means Radhika Raman. It doesn't mean Balaram, it doesn't mean Parshuram, that we're chanting, oh, Radha who's with Parshuram, or Radha who's with Ramachandra, but Ram means Radhika Raman. There's a conception in the holy name. And Prabhupada once in one conversation, there was an argument between 2 sannyasis, and one of them was saying that Ram in the Mahamantra meant Balaram. And the other one was saying, no, it means Ramachandra. And Prabhupada said, it can mean either way. Because according to our conception, in Vrindavan Das Thakur says, Jai Rupa Chinche Dasi Se Rupa Hoy. According to the conception a devotee has, the Lord manifests accordingly. But our acharyas, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they've all written commentaries on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And all of them have said that Ram means Radhika Raman. It means Krishna. Otherwise, how can Hare mean Radha? That Radharani is going to be with Ramachandra or Balaram. But it's interesting that Prabhupada, he didn't push that in that particular case. He said, that's okay if that's your conception, if that's what you want. Because Gurudev gives a conception. And if he sees someone has another conception they like, they can have that thing. But what we want to know what is the conception of Srila Prabhupada? What is the conception of Srila Rupa Goswami? And why is it that we say that Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam? He understands the Mano Bhishta, the inner mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore we are Rupa Nugas. We're followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. Because he understands the conception that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had. So this answers many different questions. There's an interesting purport Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 14. He says, even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham, Vishnu Eva Nasangsaya, very famous verse, which is from Harivamsa Purana, that only Lord Vishnu can give liberation. Did you ever think about this? How many of you heard of this verse before? Lord Shiva says only Vishnu can give liberation. Raise your hand. Okay. Have you ever wondered, though, how is it that Lord Shiva is saying this? But Lord Shiva, he's the head of the Rudra Vaishnav Sampradaya. He's a great Vaishnav. How is it that he's saying this thing? There's a purport to it. He's saying that I can't give liberation. Lord Shiva himself, although he's the head of a Vaishnav Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, he's saying, I can't give liberation. There's something else which gives it. And we find a clue in Chaitanya Charitamrita and also in Narada Pancharatra. Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Diksha Kale Bhakta Kore Atma Samarpan Sehi Kale Krishna Tare Kore Atma Sambalo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Diksha Kale, at the time of initiation, Bhakta Kori Atma Samarpana. When that devotee completely surrenders himself, his heart, Atma Samarpana, Sei Kali, at that time, Krishna Tari Kori Atma Sam. Krishna says that person is as good as me. That devotee who's received initiation. And then he says, Sei Deha Kori Tar, Chirananda Moy, Apakrita Deha, Tana Charana Bajoy. And when that devotee's body, Prabhupada translates, when the devotee's body is thus transformed into spiritual existence, the devotee in that transcendental body renders service to the lotus feet of the Lord. This is our deity worship. Why is it that devotees don't have a right to go on the altar unless they have second initiation? Some Vaishnavas, they allow some types of deity worship if someone only has initiation in the holy name, because the holy name is Krishna. But why did Srila Prabhupada insist on this rule that they should have Gayatri mantra? Here it said, Diksha Kali Bhakta Kori Atma Samarpana. Say Kali Krishna Tari Kori Atma Sam. Because when you get that mantra which is non-different from Krishna, then something happens to your body. Sehi Deha. Deha means body. Sehi Deha Koro Tara Chidananda Moy. Your body becomes Chidananda. It becomes transcendental. And then you can go on the altar. Then you can offer worship to the Panchatattva, to Radha Krishna. Because of that mantra that's entered into your heart. Therefore, in the first Ratri of the Narada Pancharatra, in chapter 9, it's described, Mantra Grahana Matrena Nara Narayanatmakaha Punati Lila Matrena Purushanam Satam Satam. As soon as someone receives a Krishna mantra, immediately, Satam Satam, that devotee becomes situated on the same platform as Narayan himself. Same statement Krishna's saying. He says, Say Kali Krishna Tari Kore Atmasam. Krishna says Atmasam. That devotee becomes non-different from me. So this Aveda Purani Guna Gaya Jebasuni, this is confirmed throughout the Vedic literatures. Narada Pancharatra says, as soon as you get a Krishna mantra from a Vaishnava, then you become situated, Matrina Nara Narayan Atmaka, you become situated on the same platform as Lord Narayan. And Punati Lila Matrina Purishanam Satam Satam, very easily you deliver 100 generations or more than 100 generations of your family members. And then the next verse describes, or text 28. Krishna mantra pasakanam sadyo darshana matrata satra janmarjitat papan muchate natra sangsaya. Just by having darshan of a devotee who's always chanting the name of Krishna, all the sinful reactions, just seeing a devotee who's always chanting Krishna's names, all the sinful reactions that you may have, satta, janmarjitat, satta means 100. All these sinful reactions you may have gotten for 100 lifetimes. Papan muchate, muchate, they're all destroyed, natra sangsaya, without any doubt. Just by seeing a devotee who's always chanting Krishna's name. There's a nice story in this regard, also from the Bhakti Mala, about a devotee whose name was Harivyasacharya. He was born in a Gauda Brahmin family, and he wrote a famous songbook called Mahavani. His songbook speaks about Madhurja Ras and about Raganuga Bhakti and about observing festivals and different things. And he was initiated in the Nimbarka Sampradaya. And when he was initiated, his Guru Maharaj asked him, do you see anyone on my lap? He said, no, Guru Maharaj, I don't see anyone on your lap. And then his Guru Maharaj said, okay, you should go to Govardhan Hill and you should circumambulate Govardhan Hill for 12 years. And then come back and talk to me. Yes, Gurudev. And so he went to Govardhan. And for 12 years, he was going around circumambulating Govardhan Hill over and over again. After 12 years, he returned back to his Gurudev. And his Guru Maharaj asked him, he said, so, do you see anyone on my lap? No, Gurudev. Go back to Govardhan? Yes, Gurudev. And so he went back for another 12 years. He circumambulated Govardhan Hill. And then he came back, and his Guru Maharaj asked him, do you see any? And oh, my Guru Maharaj, Radha and Krishna are sitting on your lap. He could see that. And then his Guru Maharaj said, okay, now I'll give you second initiation. Now you're qualified for this thing. And that devotee, Haridasacharya, once he was traveling with some of his followers, and they went to the village, Katabala. And in that village, they saw there a very nice garden and a pond. And so they were tired, they were traveling, they needed a place to rest. So they sat down on the bank of that pond. They took bath, and they worshiped the Lord. And they decided that this is such a nice place, we'll cook our meal here and offer it to the deity. And there was also a temple just there of Goddess Kali on the bank of that pond. And as they were staying there, they're getting ready to cook. Suddenly, as Maharaj was speaking in his last katha, someone brought a goat. And they killed that goat and offered it to the goddess. And when he saw that Harivyas Devacharya, he became very, very unhappy. And he thought, how can I cook here in this place? How can I cook and offer something to the Lord here in this place? I can't even drink water here. Such a sinful thing. So it was getting late at night by that time, and they decided, forget it, we just won't eat anything because we're not offering anything to the deity, so we should also fast. So the devotees that Harivyasa Devacharya and his followers, they all fasted that night, and they spent the entire night doing kirtan, remembering Krishna, to purify themselves after seeing this horrible act of this goat being killed. And but in the middle of the night, by the arrangement of the Lord, Harivyasa Devacharya, he fell asleep. And Kali came to him. and she bowed down before him. And she told him that because of the offense of my followers offering this goat, killing this goat in front of the Vaishnavas especially, I've lost all my prowess. And you please forgive me. And she offered obeisances to Haridat Vyasadeva Acharya. And it's described by Nabadasa, just by seeing Haridat Vyasadeva Acharya, she became purified and she got her effulgence back. And she said, you please cook here. Why are you going hungry? And Hari Vyasadeva Acharya, he said, well, we came here, we wanted to cook, but we saw this horrible worship going on here, and we changed our minds. And then she said, look, I'm the goddess here in this place. I put you into this difficulty, and because of me you're fasting. I become very unhappy seeing this, because she's known as Vaishnavi Devi. She's a great Vaishnava. So today I've witnessed the power of your devotion. So you be kind on me, and please give me initiation. Kali prayed like this to Hari Vyasadeva Acharya. So Hari Vyasadeva Acharya, he gave her initiation. And after she got mantras and some instruction from her guru, then she immediately left, and she went to the village, and she went to the king of that village, who was in charge of worshiping there. He'd been offering so many goats to her. And she threw him down on the ground, and she sat down in his chest, and she told him, I've become a disciple of a great Mahatma, a great Vaishnava, Hari Vyasadeva Acharya, and if you want to continue living, you should, everyone in the village, you should all go to him and accept him as your guru, and if you don't do this, then I'm going to kill all of you. And so in this way, in that village, everyone became a devotee by the potency of Hari Vyasadeva Acharya. Such is the potency of the devotees. They're so very, very potent because they're chanting the holy name. They've received Krishna's mercy in this way. We see that Gola Kera Premadana Harinama Sankirtan, that the holy name has directly come from the spiritual world. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says it was brought here by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Sankirtanaika Pitaro, who's the father of the Sankirtan movement. And he had to do that because to get Krishna say Tomaro Krishna Diti Paro, Tomaro Shakati Achi, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prays. The Vaishnavas have that potency. They have Krishna. If we want Krishna, we have to get that holy name of Krishna from the Vaishnavas. And we want, along with that name, we also want the conception of those Vaishnavas. So we were just reading from Narada Pancharatra, and it said, this is from a conversation of Lord Shiva with Parvati. Lord Shiva tells Parvati, Vaishnava darshananaiva sparshanena cha Parvati sadya putam jalamvanir jagat puta samirana. He says, Parvati, just by seeing or touching a Vaishnav, water, fire, air, in the entire world become instantly purified. And there's a nice example of this because A Veda Purana Gunagaya Jebasuni, Devaki Nandandas says, all the Vedic literatures describe this, so we should hear about this. In the Narada Pancharatra, the Narada Purana, there's a nice story in the first canto, 7th chapter, which is spoken by Sanat Kumar to Narad Muni. And he said that there was one king who was born in the Solar dynasty. His name was Bahu. He's the son of King Brika. And he was in the beginning, he was a very, very righteous king. And he protected Varnashram Dharma, he protected the Brahmins, he was doing sacrifice and things. But after some time, Sanat Kumar says, in the 15th verse, Ekadatasya ragyo vai sarva sampad vinashakrit ahankaro mahan yagye masu yo lobahetuka. However, after some time, Masuya, this pride, took possession, and Loba Hetuka, Loba, greed, which is the root, the cause of all different types of problems, took possession of the king. And therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that I don't want to see the face of a king. And Prabhupada, where was it we were reading? One of his purports recently. It's in first canto. Where Prabhu is saying that a Vaishnava should live in a very simple way and shouldn't want many opulent things. Because when we have so much opulence, the tendency is to become proud. And in the fifth canto, Bhagavatam, in one purport, Prabhupada says, the cause of Vaishnava aparad is opulence. When we have so much opulence, we become very proud. And then we think, I can criticize other Vaishnavas. So this king then, although he was very good in the beginning, he became proud. And he started thinking, I'm a big man. I'm different than everybody else. I'm the king. Is there anybody superior to me? He became so arrogant, and so much passion and things crept into his body. He says, Yovanam dhanasampati prabhu tvam avivekata ekaikam apyanartaya kim uyatra chatushtayam. He says, he speaks about Yovana means youth, Dhana means wealth, Sampati means some position. When someone has these things, you have youth, some beauty, some wealth, you have some power of authority. He said even one of these things is sure to bring about ruin and destruction. And then what to speak if you have all of them, all at the same time. Some very nice verses. It's not so important for the story, but let me read a few of them to you. Asuyo peta manasam dambacharavatam tata parushokti ratanam cha sukam neha paratra cha. Persons whose minds are affected by envy, whose conduct is full of hypocrisy, and are accustomed to use harsh words, they'll find happiness never in this lifetime or in any lifetime to come. So King Bahu, he became so proud, and he decided, I should take over other kingdoms. And so he started some useless fight with some neighboring kings of the Hayahaya and Talajunga families. And those kings, after some terrible fights for 1 month, those other kings, they defeated him and destroyed his complete army. And Maharaj Bahu barely escaped. He ran away to the forest. He'd lost everything. All he had left were his 2 wives. He'd lost his kingdom. He'd lost his armies. He'd lost his wealth. He was very, very depressed. He was wandering through the forest. And he came in a very deep part of the forest to a beautiful lake. And just seeing that beautiful lake brought some pleasure to his mind. But when the birds that were there and the creatures around that lake saw Maharaj Bahu, they hid themselves. They said, oh, some very terrible creature has come here. Because although they were just dull creatures, still they could understand that this person is a very proud person. He's very, very wicked, very, very selfish. And so Maharaj Bahu stayed there for some days, but he was being eaten up, like his stomach was being eaten out from the inside, suffering. And all he could think about was his wealth that he'd lost and his kingdom. And this is what happens to people who use harsh words, who become very proud and try to have some fame and things. And meanwhile, it says that back in his kingdom, all the people were very, very happy. At last we got rid of that idiot who was supposed to be our king. And Sanat Kumar says, Nasti kirti samo mrityu, nasti krodo samo ripu, nasti ninda samam papam, nasti moha samam bayam. Nasti means there's nothing else like this. Nasti akirti samo mrityu. There's no type of death like infamy. When people hate you. There's no enemy. Nasti kroda samo ripur. There's no enemy like anger. Nasti ninda samam papam. There's no sin equal to ninda or criticizing others. Nasti moha samam bhayam. And there's no intoxicating liquor like delusion. And so Maharaj Bahu became so depressed, his gut eating himself away, and he became very weak and feeble. And after some days, he became very sick, and finally he died in a very miserable way there. It just so happened, there was at this point, it said that there was a rishi named Orva Rishi, whose ashram was nearby, and Urva Rishi, he noticed that the two queens were very, very depressed. And the youngest of the two queens, she decided that I'll burn the body of my husband and I'll do sati. I'll enter into the fire and kill myself also. And so Urva Rishi came there at that time and he said, my dear chaste lady, you're such a chaste lady, you're so devoted to your husband, you're going to do this thing, all glories to you for that, but please don't do this. It's wrong. Because you should know that in your womb is a baby. You're pregnant. And that child will become a great king later on. And he speaks an interesting verse. Brahmahatyari papanam prokta niskrita uttamai dambashananda kashyapi bruna granashana niskriti. Bruna granasya means to kill a child in the womb. And he said that you've heard about the sinful reaction someone gets by killing a Brahmin, or so many other different types of sin. You can do some atonement for that. But by killing a child in the womb, there's no atonement. There's no prayashchitta that you can do for that. He said there's no atonement, no means of atonement for three things. Dambasya, ninda, for someone who's a hypocrite and who has all this pride, damba. For someone who's a nindak, who's a critic of other people. And Brunagranashanan is kriti, someone who kills a child in the womb. There's no kind of atonement that you can do for that. So Sage Urva, he told that queen then, you should perform the ceremonies for your husband. You should burn his body. And she preached to him. He preached to her some things about Bhagavad Gita. You're not your body and should understand, be detached. And so he helped that lady to perform the funeral rites for her husband. And then a very interesting thing is described, that when they burned the body of that very sinful king, who was so sinful that all the residents in his kingdom were delighted when he left, and that the animals in the forest even, they were disgusted with him. It said that when they were burning the body of that king, suddenly the king rose out of the fire with a body, a very brilliant body, and he ascended onto an aerial chariot. He first offered obeisances to Urva Rishi, and then it said, Prapede Paramam Padam. Paramam Padam means the topmost abode. That person then got liberation. They went on a Vaikuntha airplane. How is that? In this section of the Narada Purana, it said, Kalevaram vatad bhashma taduman chapi satama yadi pashyati punyatma sayati paramam padam. If a great soul, Satama, just looks, Kalevaram, just very, Vatad Bhashma, if he just looks at the ashes or the dead body of some personality, even he just sees the smoke coming up. Duma means the smoke. Duman Chapi Satama, the smoke coming up from the funeral pyre. Yadi Pashyati Punyatma Sayati Paramam Padam. Then that soul who was in the body that was being burned, that soul will attain the highest goal, Paramam Padam. Mahat Pataka Yuktova Sarvapatakai Param Padam Prayatyeva Mahadbir Avalokita. Even as someone may be a Mahapatak. Mahapatak is the greatest sinner. Narada Purana, another 14th chapter, it says, Brahmaha Chasurapi Chastei Cha Guru Topaga Mahapatiki Nastyete Tat Samyogi Chapanchama. That there's 5 persons who are known as a Mahapataka. Someone who kills a Brahmin, someone who's a drunkard, someone who's a thief, someone who has sex with the wife of his guru. Those are 4. And the 5th person is someone who associates with one of those persons. They're all Mahapatakas. But it's said that even if someone's a Mahapataka, if they achieve the merciful glance of such a great soul, then they can immediately become liberated. It's described in the Padma Purana. Krishna says to Arjuna, Sangsara Vaishnavadina Deva Vaishnava Palataha Aham Cha Vaishnavadinas Tasmat Shreshtascha Vaishnavaha. Very amazing verse. He said that how is it sometimes devotees have some doubt Some people, I've heard this said many times, that Srila Prabhupada was the last one. He was the last pure devotee. And Krishna, he looked in his pockets after his pockets were empty. He's broke. Krishna didn't have any more pure devotees after that. And Ramana Sukha Prabhu, Mother Narayani, and the Prabhupada disciples, you're very fortunate. You got initiated by Prabhupada. And for the rest of us, well, it's just tough luck. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make any sense. My Guru Maharaj used to say that there's proof that there's some pure devotee present. What is the proof? He said that the sun is shining, that this material existence is going on. He said like that. And I always thought that's nice. And then later, some years later, I was reading in Padma Purana, and I came across this verse, which is spoken by Krishna. And he says, Sangsara Vaishnavadino. This sangsar, this entire universe, is dependent on the presence of a pure Vaishnav. Fulfilling what my Guru Maharaj is saying. If there's no pure Vaishnav, this universe can't exist. Deva Vaishnava Palita. The Vaishnava, the demigods, they're nourished by the Vaishnavas. Just as we were reading from Narada Pancharatra. Water, fire, air, the whole universe become purified just by seeing a Vaishnav. This is the glories of the Vaishnavas. And why is that? Because the Vaishnavas are carrying Krishna. When the Vaishnavas get initiation, Krishna enters and they completely surrender. A minor detail. When they take initiation, they completely surrender. Krishna enters into the heart of that devotee. And Krishna says, this person is non-different from me. And that's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's in Narada Pancharatra. We see this story in Narada Purana. In Padma Purana, Krishna says that Deva Vaishnava Palita, that the Devas, they can't exist. There'd be no sun. There'd be no air. There'd be no fire. There'd be no water. The fact that these elements are existing, which are extensions or manifestations in some way of the demigods, is proof that there must be some pure Vaishnav present. We don't know who they are. It might be some of the sannyasis, it might be some Brahmin grihastha man, or it might be a householder wife, lady, or it might be some small child. But somewhere there's some pure Vaishnav. Otherwise, it couldn't go on. Krishna says, Aham cha Vaishnavadinas. I couldn't exist. The fact that Krishna is existing in these temples, the fact that Krishna is existing in the form of the holy name, that the devotees are chanting, and the deity worship is going on, and Srimad Bhagavatam is being read. These are different manifestations of Krishna. Krishna's present. The fact that he's present means there must be some pure Vaishnav present. Because Krishna says, Aham cha Vaishnavadinas. I can't exist. There's no meaning. I won't be there unless there's a pure Vaishnava present. Therefore, tasmat shreshtas cha Vaishnavaha. The Vaishnavas are the greatest of all personalities. Again, in the Narada Pancharatra, the same thing is confirmed. Darshanam Vaishnavanam cha deva vanchanti nityasa na Vaishnavat paraputo vishvesu nilakeshu cha. The demigods constantly desire to have association of Vaishnavas. As such, it can only be concluded that there's nothing more sanctified within the entire universe than the Vaishnavas. Because Krishna enters into their body through the via medium of another devotee. So I'd like to finish with telling you a story which we printed many years ago in the first issue of our Krishna Katamrita magazine. And this is from also from Narada Purana. And it's the story of Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj is one of the Mahajans. Janak Maharaj was the father of Sita. And he was a very great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. Excuse me, this is from Padma Purana, the Patalakanda, 18th chapter. And this is a story which was narrated by Lord Anantasesh. And how Janak Maharaj, finally he became very old, and he was chanting the names of Lord Ramachandra and absorbing himself in Lord Ram, and he left his body. And at that time, a wonderful airplane, divine airplane, came from the spiritual world, and Janak Maharaj got on it, and it was taking him back home, back to Godhead. And it so happened somehow, I don't know, maybe the driver made a wrong turn or something, But as they were going, taking him back to the spiritual world, they happened to go near to the hellish planets. And there were so many sinners, unlimited different sinners suffering in millions of different hellish planets. But when somehow the breeze touched the body of Janak Maharaj, and then the same breeze touched the sinners in the hellish planets, then the sinners, they felt some relief, and they became very, very happy. And they prayed to Janak Maharaj, please, can you just stay here? Don't go anywhere, because the wind that's coming from your body, when it touches us, we get some relief from the terrible suffering that's going on. And Janak Maharaj, he thought to himself, that's very good. If I'm being useful, if I'm somehow, my presence is relieving these persons of their terrible suffering and giving them some happiness, then I'll stay here. For me, what's going back to Godhead? This is better. I'm helping these particular persons here. And so there was a problem after a little while, because the Yamadutas, they noticed that Janak Maharaj was there, and they went to speak to Yamaraj, and they said, hey boss, there's some guy here, I don't think he belongs here. It doesn't seem like the sinners and things. You should go see. And so Yamaraj, he went to him, and when he saw Janak Maharaj, he said, what are you doing here? You're Sarva Dharma Shiromani. You're the crest jewel of all Dharma. You're a great devotee. My servants can't even look at people like you, much less bring you here for punishment or anything. He said that, what are you doing here in this place? And Janak Maharaj told him, no, I'm getting some pleasure here because I'm relieving these people of their terrible suffering. And Yamaraj, he said, you don't understand these people here. They don't deserve your mercy. The only people who come here are people who never worship the Lord. And I throw them in this terrible suffering, and they're tortured in so many different ways. So you should go away. You should go back to the spiritual world. But Janak Maharaj said, no, I don't want to go to Vaikuntha. I'll stay here because I'm helping these poor people. He said, if you want to do something, if you can release all of these persons suffering in hell, then I'll go to Vaikuntha. But otherwise, I'm not going to go. And then Yamaraj began to give him a little guided tour. Just like Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj was mentioning how Radhanath Maharaj took him on a guided tour of Govardhan Eco Village. So Yamaraj took him on a little guided tour of hell. And he started pointing out different persons. He said, do you see this one over here? This fellow, his best friend's wife came to him to confide in him, and he raped her. And so this guy, what we're going to do with him, we put him on an iron stake and we're roasting him for thousands of years. And then afterwards he's going to take birth as a pig. And then he'll take birth finally as a human being. He'll be a eunuch. And you see this fellow over here. This fellow was taking the wealth of different people, and therefore we're cutting off his hands and we're cooking him in pus and blood. And this one over here, he didn't honor or welcome, even with sweet words, a guest who came to his house who was very hungry. And so because of that, we're going to drop him in Tamishra hell, which is full of fire, and millions of bees will sting him, and he'll suffer like anything. And then Yamaraj told him a very interesting thing. I would like to read the verse to you. Ayam tavam prayasyo chayar nindam kurvana lajita ayam apyasrinot karno prerayan bahusastatam. He said, this fellow here, you know why he's here? Because very loudly he was criticizing other people. And you see the person next to him? You know why he's here? Because with great interest he kept listening to that criticism. And because of that, both of them have fallen into a dark well. And they're going to suffer. In this way, he described so many terrible, terrible things, and how all the sinners were there were going to suffer like anything. And after this guided tour from Yamaraj, Janak Maharaj began to cry. And he said, my dear Mahajan, Yamaraj, please tell me, is there any way that all these miserable living entities can become free from their sinful reactions, can become free from hell and get happiness? And Yamaraj said, look, these persons here, they never worshiped Lord Vishnu. They never heard any Krishna Katha. They never did any kirtan or anything. How can they become free from hell? And Janak Maharaj, he said, is there some way? And Yamaraj said, okay, look, there's one way. He said, I know you, and I've heard about your amazing devotional activities. He said, if you're willing, every day I know you got up and you were chanting all day long the name of Lord Ram with great love and devotion. If you give the result of just one of those names that you chanted, one of the names of Lord Ram, if you give the result of that to everyone here, then they'll all get freedom from hell. So as soon as he heard that, Janak Maharaj, he said, definitely let these persons be released from hell. Let them have this religious merit from me by chanting the name of Lord Ramachandra. As soon as he said that, there was a huge Airbus or something from the spiritual world, according to Padma Purana. They came down there and took all those different personalities, and the Padma Purana says that Paramam Padam, they got that topmost position. So it's said, and by poet Devaki Nandan Das, that Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jani Jani E Veda Purani Guna Gaya Jebasuni. That all the Vedas and Puranas again and again and again repeatedly describe this thing. That every devotee of the Lord, every one of them, every devotee here in this room has the ability to deliver not just Stockholm, not just Sweden or Europe or even this planet, but the whole universe or even many universes. But just as Lord Shiva, he says that I can't give liberation to others, although he's the head of a Vaishnava Sampradaya, it has a purport. He can't give liberation on his own, but Krishna gives liberation. Only Krishna can do that. And Krishna enters into the body of those devotees who've taken initiation. Rupa Namashrita Avishta. Sanatana Goswami says, we've been repeating again and again, that when we chant the holy name, when we have darshan of the deities, when we hear Krishna Katha, something happens to those devotees. And Krishna enters into their body. And therefore, amazing things can happen. I want to finish with a wonderful verse. Asajjana sajjana sangi sangat kuroti du sadyam apiha sadyam puspashrayach chambushiro dirudha papilaka chumbati chandra bimbam. Papilaka means an ant in Sanskrit. And it's said that even someone may be asajjana, may be a very bad person, but sajjana sangi sangat, if they're doing association with nice devotees, with elevated persons, then he says that just as an ant, an insignificant ant, can touch the moon, so also we can get everything from such association. How can an ant touch the moon? Karoti du sadyam apiya sadyam puspashrayach. Pushpa means flower. Puspashrayach chambu shiro dirudha. If that flower, if that ant is associating with the flower, and by that association with the flower, and the flower is offered to the head of Lord Shiva, who's on the head of Lord Shiva? The moon. So that insignificant ant can touch the moon because of association. So these are the wonderful glories of association. When we speak about empowerment, it means several things. It means we should act in a way that we can become empowered. That we should act in a way that we can earn the love and trust of Gurudev. We should act in a way that our parents will trust us to give us the keys to the car. To give us that responsibility by which we'll become empowered. And then we should pass that on to others. Just as the Bhagavatam says, when those great personalities leave this world, they cross over the ocean of material birth and death. They're so amazing, they leave the boat behind. And so when we become empowered, then we have some obligation to empower others, to empower the next generation. And when they show by their good qualities, they earn that love and trust, then we should give them responsibility by which they can become empowered, and by which this whole planet, and what to speak of this planet, but Brahmanda, Brahmandi Tarite Shakti Dari Jani Jani. So many universes can become delivered if we behave in this way, if we become just a transparent via medium for Gurudev and for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll stop there. I don't know. I think I've gone a little overtime. Yeah, a little bit. We have maybe a few minutes if somebody has any comments or questions, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Could you a little elaborate the concept of conception? Has been many times taken the way it's like done, but now, like you mentioned very nicely, accordingly, it has a lot to do with the association of the Guru and the application of the Shiksha itself. So
it was very interesting. It's said in one of Prabhupada's purports in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam that Krishna resided in the heart of Vasudeva. And then from Vasudev's heart and through his mind, as I recall, he was transferred to the heart of Devaki. It wasn't a seminal exchange, but Devaki became pregnant in that way. And Prabhupada compares that to the transmission of transcendental knowledge, to the acceptance of the Guru and the disciple. That the Guru, he gives Krishna, Gurudev has Krishna in his heart. And he can give that thing, the personality who has it. So that's conception. But Prabhupada he also said sometimes, he said there's two words, putra and mitra. Mitra means urine, and putra means son. So they both come from the same organ. But what's the value, Chanakya Pandit says, of a bad son, of a good father? Father may be very, very great, but if we don't live up to the expectations. So when we say conception, it doesn't just mean a seminal birth. And there's so many different examples. In the Varaha Purana, it said that the demons take birth in Kali Yuga in the families of Brahmins. They take seminal birth. We don't place so much stress on that seminal birth, but we say someone's become Dvija, means Dui Janma. They've taken birth a second time. Because Guru Mata, Guru Pita, Guru Hanupati. Gurudev is a real mother. Gurudev is a real father. And by getting that mantra, that person has become Dvija. They become second initiated. They've taken a second birth. That's real conception. Okay? There was something else? I don't know. Just go ahead.
I don't understand one thing about hell. Why for one moment of sin we get some unequal punishment, like thousands of years suffering in hell?
Oh, but you don't understand something about hell. Why for one moment we suffer so bad? Well, everything in this material universe, you can say two things. You can say that this universe is for the reformation, the correction of the fallen conditioned souls. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, actually, that's not the fact. The actual purpose of it is for Krishna's pastimes. To make just like a diamond, he gives the example, if you put a diamond on a silver plate, you can't see it. But if you put a diamond on a piece of blue velvet, it looks more beautiful. So the real purpose of the material universe is a place for Krishna's pastimes. But also the living entities, they have some reformation here. So sometimes we see that people, they naturally, although it's encouraged in this culture for boys to look at girls, but sometimes we see some young men, I've met some young men, they just instinctively don't want to look at young girls. And why is that? I've seen some instinct. Myself, when I was 12 years old, I became a vegetarian. I hated meat. I always hated meat. I'd never met a vegetarian in my life. I'd never read a book about vegetarianism. I didn't know anything about it. Just instinctively, I didn't like that. Same thing happened with Krishna Kun, my wife. Same age also. So maybe in some previous life, we ate meat and then we had to suffer in hell for so long because of that. And that time in hell it's different than time here. You may spend a million years in hell, and it's maybe just a few moments. I don't know the time difference exactly, how it works, but it's just a few moments here in this world. But then when you come back, if you did some terrible thing like raping a woman or killing an animal or something, you suffer for that. And when you come back, intuitively, you don't remember in your next life, but I don't want to do that thing. No, that's the benefit of it. That's the purpose of it. There's some purification that goes on to that suffering. There was something. What is it?
Yeah, you were saying that you were going to prove that everyone in this room could deliver unlimited universes, and certainly when I look around I see only great Vaishnavas, but I can also read and I know the qualities of a Vaishnava, and when I don't have them, I'm still just aspiring, and therefore until I have...
Well, that's the same, you're saying the same thing that Lord Shiva says, that I can't deliver anybody. That's what Lord Shiva is saying.
Shiva is he's representing. He's the spiritual master.
Okay, you can't do it, but the holy name can, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah? You may meet someone on the street and tell them, chant Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare, and then they start running across the street and they're hit by a truck and killed. Prabhupada, there's a story. I heard, Madhavananda can correct me maybe, but I heard one story that there was one Prabhupada disciple whose father, I believe it was, or mother, one of his parents, was very inimical, very hateful for the devotees. He used to always criticize the devotees. And so he didn't go home very much. He just was a devotee staying in the temple. But then after some years, he got a message that his father, parent, whatever, was dying of cancer or something. And you'd please come home. So he went there, and he was at the side of his parents' bed when they left their body. And their parents' last words, they were very inimical. They looked over at their son and they said, so, where's your Krishna now? And they left their body. And so they told Srila Prabhupada about that. And Prabhupada said, so he went back to Godhead. By that thing, by the potency of that devotee, you can say in one sense, but in another sense, by the potency of the holy name. The devotee by themselves may not be a pure devotee, but the holy name is there. The holy name can do that. And so on the basis of that thing, I say quite confidently that every devotee in this room can deliver a universe or more. Maybe not by your own potency, but by the potency of the holy name. The holy name is so great. That's my point.
But you're also saying the holy name, when you get it from a pure devotee, then it has all the capacity. But when you get it indirectly, then it doesn't have the full capacity to give.
So maybe you say half a universe.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry I wasn't on whole lecture, but I just would like to ask, can you say a few words about, because kind of when we joined, we are kind of thought, okay, Diksha Guru, and that's it, kind of, and we always think, okay, sannyasi, it's a person who can go to lead us back home, back to Godhead, but I think there is a little bit overlooked this point that Shiksha Gurus are very important, because sannyasis are not here home with us all the time, and they travel around. So that we should take shelter of local Shiksha Gurus, maybe, who can well-wishing us, help us in our spiritual progress.
In Orissa, there's a famous Vaishnava. His name was Bhakti Kavi Gopal Krishna. He was a direct disciple of Shyamananda Prabhu. And he wrote a wonderful commentary, a Bhajan Darpana, a song commentary, on Raghunath Das Goswami's Manasiksha. And in his commentary, in the first verse, he sings, Diksha Guru Rupe Swayam Shri Govinda Siksha Guru Rupe Radha Vaishnava Swarupe Sakhi Gana Saive Hori Beto Bigna Bada Diksha Guru Rupe Swayam Shri Govinda, that we should see Acharya Mam Vijaniya Navamanita Karichit, that my Diksha Guru is a manifestation of Krishna. Hari Bhakti Vilas says that Yo Mantra Saguru Sakshad. You should understand that the mantra that you've gotten, Gurudev is non-different from that mantra. Yo Guru Ha Sahari Swayam. And that Gurudev is non-different from Krishna. The mantra is Krishna. Gurudev is giving it. The Diksha Guru is giving that. So the Diksha Guru, Swayam Shri Govinda. Siksha Guru, Rupe Radha. And the Siksha Guru is a manifestation of Radha. How is that? Because Srimati Radharani, she's Bhakti Devi, and her desire is to bring the devotees closer to Krishna. She wants to bring the gopis, different gopis, closer to Krishna. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav, Srila Prabhupada's sannyas guru, he once famously said that the qualification of a Siksha Guru is that they bring one closer to the Diksha Guru. And if they don't do that, they're not a Siksha Guru, they're not even a Vaishnava. So we should see the Siksha Guru like Radha. Now, a question comes, which is more important, the Diksha Guru or the Siksha Guru? We can use the example of Raghunath Das Goswami. Who was the Diksha Guru of Raghunath Das Goswami? I don't know if anyone here even knows. His name was Yadunandanacharya. And Yadunandanacharya was a great Vaishnava. He was initiated by Advaitacharya. And he was good friends with Haridas Thakur. He was no slouch. He was a good personality. And in his writings, Raghunath Das Goswami, he offers obeisances to Yadunandanacharya. But who is famous as the guru of Raghunath Das Goswami? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Saruper Raghunath. That he was the Raghu of Sarup Damodar Goswami. And Sarup Damodar Goswami was a Siksha Guru. Once my Guru Maharaj was asked a nice question, who is more important, the Siksha Guru or the Diksha Guru? And he gave such a good answer, whoever occupies your heart. And so in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami, his Siksha Guru, Sarup Damodar Goswami, occupied his heart. And he offered pranams. He was always respectful to Yadunandanacharya. So, commenting on this first verse of Mana Siksha, Gopal Krishna, he says that Diksha Guru Rupe Swayam Shri Govinda. Diksha Guru is Krishna. Siksha Guru Rupe Radha. The Siksha Guru is Radha. Vaishnava Sarupe. What's the Sarupa? The Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Sarupe Saki Gana Sarve. They're the gopis. The pure Vaishnavas, we should see them like the gopis. Hori Beto Bigna Bhada. And these three, they work together to remove all the obstacles from our life. This is a problem we have in our society. I've heard many times from different Vaishnavas who are a little more familiar with different Gaudiya groups. In ISKCON, sometimes we put more stress on the Diksha Guru than we do the Siksha Guru. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur many times gave more stress to Siksha. And again, it's whoever occupies our heart. Okay? Many things could be said, but it's a big subject. Was there anything else? Somebody else really wanted to ask something or say something? Okay, so thank you very much. This is a long, strange journey. Many curves, wasn't it? I thank you all very much for letting me be part of this Sangha here. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki, Go Premanande Hari. Vanchakalpadarubhishcha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo.